one parent pinning against another parent and or just constantly putting the other parent down to where a child doesn't have a positive picture of one or the other parent.
Parents are basically having a kid in the middle, the kid's being tugged one way or the other. You love me more, you know.
That is just one parent using, or like I love to say, weaponizing, because that's what they're doing, weaponizing the child against the other parent.
Use the children as a tool and run over the other parent because of their revengefulness or their hatefulness to get back at that parent. Our mission is to protect children. We are to advocate for families, and we do professional training. My name is Dwylene Lindsay, and I am a founder and the executive director of operations and programs.
One day, she says, you know what, I can't do anything about this, so I'm going to start a nonprofit and I'm going to help kids.
My best friend, and she is one of the co-founders.
We do things together.
Sam Rapico, my title's director, but I run the support group on Sundays. I'm also one of the volunteers, and I get involved in all of the events.
I'm Moya Jackson, and I volunteer with Children for Tomorrow. I'm helping them with their promotional campaigns, online presence, and hopefully I'll be working with them with their supervised visitation program.
My name is Amanda French. I have assisted Children for Tomorrow in the social media space. I inquired about if they could use volunteers. Then they brought me in for an interview. We got started from there.
My name is Michael Hiller. I'm a board certified attorney in family law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. I've been practicing 31 years.
My name is Amy Baker. I have a PhD in developmental psychology. I am a parental alienation expert. Primarily, I'm a researcher, an author, and a parenting coach specifically for parents dealing with parental alienation.
When we first started, we started out in a bedroom, a small bedroom at that, with $500. And now we are in a building with 3,000 square feet. So I think we've come a long way with that. We had a friend that put us in touch with some judges, and I had a judge that says, come into my court and you can sit there and you'll learn all you want to learn. Well, as I was there, I started recognizing emotional child abuse, that this was going on in the courts and we needed to stop it.
So you got to look at any situation you think that needs, when you think it needs to be improved, it's good to look at its history, right? When you say what's needed, you have to look at how we ended up in the court system to begin with. In the 50s and 1950s, 1960s, there wasn't a huge divorce rate yet. It started to happen around 1970 or so. But as women were getting more independent and other changes in society, we had this huge increase in divorce. So now all of a sudden, you have all these divorces taking place, and what do you do with them? They didn't have family courts. I mean, you hear about these kings and queens and getting their divorces in Europe over the years, but that was the point, kings and queens and lords and nobles. So you have all these people coming into the court system that wasn't designed for divorces. And so you have a problem.
We're working with, it's a group of lawyers and alienated parents. I'm trying to figure out what's a pathway to success in the courtrooms when it comes to parental alienation, because they don't really want to hear that term.
As of 2013, the last time the American Psychiatric Association put out their compilation of diagnoses. It is not in there. It's not included as a named entity. It is mentioned as a part of a larger issue, which is called child affected by parental relationship distress. And there's different manifestations of a child being affected by parental relationship distress, one of which is parental alienation, when a child unjustifiably rejects the other parent. Most people who are judges now went to law school quite a while ago, and there's no class in law school, as far as I know, on parental alienation. You know, what you learn in law school is how to be a lawyer. You don't learn all the content that you need. It's not mandatory in legal education or even, judicial training. So the more they're really versed in the science behind it, and they hear from their own judicial college that, yes, this is real, that's going to help.
We've got to train lawyers how to take this to the court system, because until the judge orders it, you can't have an amicus. You got to get the judge to order it. So it either has to happen by agreement, right? Or by the judge's order from a hearing. And until the judges are fully educated in the importance of not just recognizing parental alienation, which is still an issue, but also what to do about it.
People learning bad habits from their lifestyle or what was around them culturally speaking, just not breaking those chains or curses, however you want to look at it. It's just negative. They don't know any better. And then if you want to just get a little bit more formal, there's a lot of mental illness involved. People haven't resolved issues from their own childhood. They don't have the tools to be parents, and they have children with agendas. Okay, now I got to keep the marriage together. Give me a break. That's not a child's job.
So Children for Tomorrow has different programs. One of them is when we very first started, I noticed that parents needed something, so we did parenting classes. Our parenting classes are more of a counseling type class. We help people realize that they're only in control of themselves, and we teach them how to be in control of themselves. We help them understand why they do what they do. If they can understand why they're doing something or why someone else is doing something, then they can make changes within themselves.
So they have their parents' courses, say the supervised visitation, but their specialty is that parental alienation piece, because before I even met them and then as getting into them, it's like the open secret. Dwalene and I, and because, we're going to be working on her promotional piece. And I was like, you have to preach the gospel of parental alienation, because you're going to be telling people you're doing it wrong. And this is why you're doing it wrong. So it's really fighting the good fight of making people recognizing those bad behaviors and patterns and habits. So once they get in these classes, then they can move on to the next piece. Maybe it's personal parental, but they're also going to have those peripheral resources of you getting your own psychological welfare. What is it inside me that's broken, that's making it okay to do this to my child?
You have to really get that emotional side. And if you haven't been experienced with the parental alienation, you don't understand it. I mean, this is the worst abuse that a target parent can go through.
I don't know very many traumas that can match what a target parent goes through. Financial abuse to brainwashing the children and separating you, the person that's trying to leave, in this case myself, from family members, attorneys, mental health professionals. The relationship you have with your children is never going to be the same. It is a complete stripping and devastation of huge proportions.
It's a huge emotional component when two parents can't work together to successfully co-parent their child, and sometimes they can't figure it out on their own. And so one of the pieces that Children for Tomorrow really focuses on is just being a positive mediator for the family, just being able to come together and learn how to effectively co-parent in a situation where divorce might be something or just not a positive situation to bring a child into, and just learning how can we effectively come together and without doing emotional damage to any party involved, move forward.
Take a piece of paper and crumple it. There's no way you can straighten that paper out again. And it's the same thing with a child. So the parents need to be trained on better co-parenting. Don't use the kid as a power play. Don't put the kid in the middle. You know, it's mental abuse.
We have Leap Junior. So Leap Junior is where kids can come together and they can feel like they're not alone in their situation with their parents' divorce. We sent kids to counseling, but what we recognized was that when you send kids to counseling, they learn something, but when you put them back in the same environment, then you're getting the same results.
To me, it's like mental abuse. It's the worst kind of abuse a child can experience, where parents are basically having a kid in the middle, and the kid's being tugged one way or the other. You love me more, or controlled. You don't have to go see your father. Forget about him. It's that sort of mental abuse that is not easily recovered. It could take a couple decades for a kid to figure it out later.
My research at this point has been on what is the experience for the kids when they grow up, having been turned against one parent by the other parent, or maybe not as extreme, but having been exposed to parental alienation behaviors on the part of a parent. And all the research is very consistent. The more alienation, the worse off, whether it's depression or anxiety or low self-esteem or difficulties with drugs and alcohol, difficulties being self-sufficient, difficulties dealing with authority figures and having secure adult attachment relationships. Now, that doesn't mean that every kid's going to have every bad outcome, but it means, in general, exposure to the 17 primary parental alienation strategies is a risk factor at best and a predictor, of a lot of bad outcomes for kids.
Because a lot of kids don't want to, they're embarrassed in school that their parents are going through these things, and they think that they're the only person going through it, and they're not. So this class is a group setting for kids to come together. We do a lot of fun things in there. We teach them all kinds of tools, and we give them a lot of resources. Leap E educates the teachers what to look for in alienation, because an alienating parent will suck in all the people for their benefits, and they look like this perfect person, and then the targeted parent looks like this horrible monster, and it's just the opposite. It's counterintuitive. So we teach the school, the people that work with children in the schools, how to look for it and what to do with that.
If you were to sit me right here and my ex-husband here, and we would tell our stories without understanding the framework that you're going to learn, you probably look at both of us and say, they're both crazy, which is what would happen. So you would go, that's super high conflict. And then that's normal in divorce. In this situation, there are specific patterns that you can see within that context that start making black and white sense.
Just started the assessment program, so that's something that I'm really excited about, and I think that this is really going to be what makes a big difference in these families.
It's assessing the families. The CFAT assessment the organization does to assess if alienation is a player. Even sometimes when it's assessed, one party's not going to be happy, so they're going to argue the results. They're going to argue the way the test was done. So it's not a simple matter.
Our complex family assessment and treatment program, this has to go through the court system. What we do is when an attorney asks us, how can we help our client, we'll say, you need to get a court order and go get an assessment. And we figure out who's doing what and why are they doing it and how can we help this family. And then we give them a treatment report and we tell them, this is how we can help this family be whole.
Children for Tomorrow hired Craig Childress to do a training for therapists and lawyers, and I was invited to that training, and I participated and took the training.
And Dr. Childress wrote this program for us. He's brilliant. The program is brilliant. A lot of people, because it's new and we're the only one that has it, they are real skeptical of it, and we have a real problem to prove ourselves because they've never seen anything like this and they don't believe that we can do what we can do. Through our assessment, we have a lot of data that we use. It's not an opinion. Each case has a team. They have their amicus attorney that the courts choose off of our court orders, and we work with the different mental health professionals that are working with a family. We all come together like once or twice a week and we discuss the case. And then we have a status meeting with the judge once a month and the amicus attorney and the two attorneys for the clients. And we give the status to the judge of what's going on in the family. And so after we got that, we said, okay, we need to make money, because if we're going to put kids in counseling, we need to make money. And so my daughter said, hey, let's do golf tournaments. The golf tournament serves for the children to have counseling. The money goes to, if they're having a problem paying their amicus attorney, we will help with that because that helps the child. That's our biggest money raiser for the year, and we put a lot of emphasis on that every year.
I hope it raises awareness. We had like 60 golfers out here today, so I hope it raises awareness for them.
We always have a little breakfast. We feed them a nice lunch, and we love to make everybody leave with something, to see their faces and say, oh wow, we didn't play very well, but we got something, and lots of prizes and lots of fun. Hoping that it's going to give us more funds to help a lot more children.
We want the children really to have the mental health. It's all about the mental health of the children.
We just try to make it fun throughout the whole thing.
Thank you, Miss Lindsay.
Revealing the Scars is the name of the book. I wanted to dedicate the book to the target parents. When we have weeds in the garden, we have to dig really deep to get the roots out, the deep roots. And that's kind of like the roots that we have in our life. We need to go deep down and figure out, do we have all these roots pulled out? I'm building this for legacy. I don't want it to just stop when I'm not here anymore. Our mission is to solve parental alienation. This is about the children. Our organization is about children. I think it will really manifest into something bigger.